Hey everybody, in this video, I'm going to tell you about my top 10 books since I've started BookTube. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Book Talks with Miss Thomas. I am Miss Thomas, and if you're new here and you love hearing about great books, please subscribe. If you are returning, yay, thanks so much for putting up with me. Welcome back. I love hearing from you guys and, hearing what you're reading and your thoughts. Okay, so full transparency here. I have been incredibly busy lately. I haven't read nearly as much as I would like. I'm very busy with grad school. I'm doing a research paper on how technology affects education and specifically reading and the reading brain. And I'm reading all these case studies, which might not be interesting to my BookTube channel. If you're interested, put it in the comments. I will do a video. And because I've been so busy with grad school and with my job, I have been stressed. And so I did attempt to learn knitting. So I'll put a picture up there for you. I would like to be able to show you an actual finished project, but I keep tearing down what I've knit and then starting over again. I've begun and completely torn apart and then begun again maybe 10, 15 times. I'm not kidding. It's nuts. I haven't learned how to tink, which is knit backwards, and I haven't learned how to correctly frog, which is ripping, rip. So I just keep on ripping. Once I rip, I don't know how to stop and put the needle back. I've tried. Anyway, I haven't read as much. So I thought, well, rather than completely abandon BookTube, why not go back and share some videos that I've previously done that I'm proud of and that I'd like to share with you. And especially if you're new, you could find out about some books that I really enjoy. So I'm going to do this video, which is like my top 10 books that I would recommend since I've started YouTube. And I will link the videos that talk about those books as well in the description box. So here we go. Are you ready? So when I look at my YouTube channel, it's so interesting to me, the videos that I'm really proud of, the books that I really enjoy talking about. It always interests me when people don't quite seem to notice those. And then the books that I wasn't so thrilled about, or maybe a video where I didn't even talk about a book as much, that seems to interest people sometimes. And I think, oh, I wish they, would hear me talk about this book. So I just really want to highlight a few videos and books that might interest you. In recent publications, there's my Revelation in a Nutshell, which is where I talk about the book of Revelation. And I'm just fascinated by the book of Revelation in the Bible, end times and prophecy and what happens, in the end. I would recommend that video. Then another recent video is books about characters with special needs. That's a Philippians 4 project where I came up with some books that are about characters with special needs. And that's something that I don't feel we spend enough time on, as a special educator in particular. I have such a heart for that, and I'm really enjoying books about that, books that feature characters, that have special circumstances or special needs. I struggled with how to word it. I know, they say with the algorithm, there's certain ways to word your videos so that you get clicks, and I didn't know quite how to word that one, but it's about different people with different challenges that they deal with in their lives. And it's mostly young adult books or middle grade books. And I highly recommend that video with those books. Okay, so somewhat recently, now I'm going to start going back further into books that I recommend. So the only other one that's somewhat recent is The Cousins by Karen McManus. I recommend The Cousins by Karen McManus. I listened to the audiobook recently enough. I think it was August. And I did a video on that particular book. And I really enjoyed that book. And a lot of people didn't see the video. So I want to call your attention to that. That's young adult mystery. way back, way back before I started getting into Christian booktube, I reviewed a book called How the Penguins Saved Veronica, and I loved that book. And Jolene at Bookworm Adventure Girl recommended that book. So the name of that video is Jolene Made Me Read It, and it's How the Penguins Saved Veronica. You can see that video too if you would like. There's even a short that I thought was pretty good. I was surprised not too many people responded. I guess some people did seem to enjoy the short, but I just think if you're newer to my channel, go back and find that short and, you know, the video on that book, because that was a good book. How the Penguins Save Veronica by Hazel Pryor. All Girls by Emily Layden. That is a book that I did mention recently. I may have mentioned it in my rant about the Last Housewife or some book like that. I didn't like The Last Housewife. It promoted sexual violence in a way that I found distasteful. Well, it didn't promote it, but you know, it talked a lot about it in the book. And I'm going to say to you, if you're looking for a book that does address women's issues, and particularly a climate of sexual violence and how that affects women, I would definitely recommend All Girls by Emily Layden. I loved that book. I highly recommend it, and I'm proud of the video that I did. Now, I was just starting out in booktube. I wasn't as experienced, but I went back and viewed that one, and I still am pretty proud of the work I've done in that video. So it talks about just free speech and how it affects, in particular, girls at a boarding school. So I would say high school level girls, and the way that, you know, we don't effectively talk about sexual violence, and so our lack of language, our reluctance to communicate about sexual violence can actually contribute to victimization, I think. And the video sort of broaches that topic, and the book does a fantastic job of addressing that topic. Sheer Mischief is a video. I covered a book called Sheer Mischief, and the video is called A Really Fun Book. And that's just a fun book about two sisters, and one gets into a lot of trouble and the other one's kind of like the straight man, you know, and she's more serious. And I just loved that book, Sheer Mischief. So I would recommend the book, and if you're interested in learning about the book, go back and find the video. The Memory of Light by Francisco X. Stork. That was a book that changed my life. And so I think the title of that video is The Memory of Light Could Save Your Life. And that is a book in which the author has survived a suicide attempt. And so Stork felt led to write a book about someone who attempts suicide and survives and befriends other people who are also, I think they weren't all suicidal, but they all dealt with various challenges, emotional and mental challenges in their lives, and they were in the hospital together. And I just thought that was a wonderful book. It was a very powerful book, and it was definitely a book that I personally think everyone should read. I loved that book and highly recommend it. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton is another really great book. A lot of people have read it and enjoyed it. I did do a video on it very early in my YouTube journey. So if you want to find that video, it's in the description box. It's linked in the description box, or you can just find it under videos in my channel. But it was, you know, a year ago, and I believe that one's being turned into a movie. So really good book. I loved that book, and I explained that book and discussed that book in one of my videos. Ordinary Grace and This Tender Land by William Kent Kruger. Those are discussed in a video called 3 Books by William Kent Kruger. One book I didn't like, I don't even remember the name of it, but Ordinary Grace and This Tender Land are fantastic books. They're not necessarily Christian books, but they were not objectionable, and they do deal with spiritual content. Ordinary Grace is the story of a little boy, and I actually read that it was To Kill a Mockingbird but for boys, and it's a little boy, he's a pastor's son, and he and his brother, they're just trying to make sense of the world around them in their young childhood, and he's looking back, I think, on it. Fantastic book, one of my favorites. And then last but not least would be Jane Harper. She was one of my first, she's a newer author, and she's just one that I really fell in love with as soon as I discovered her book, what was the first one, The Dry, which has since been turned into a movie, which I saw, and then Force of Nature. And then she's had some other books too, but those two I really recommend. And I discuss them on my channel, and you can find those videos. So I just wanted to hop on here real quick because I've been crazy busy, but I wanted to hop on here and tell you I'm still active on BookTube. I'm still reading. I just haven't had the time to read as much as I would like to lately. So to tide you over until I can tell you about some great books, you might want to go through my old videos and view those videos to learn about some great books. Or if you prefer, just, pull up some of the books I list in the description and see if they interest you. And I will definitely do a monthly wrap up, and I'm gonna do some other videos, but I just don't have time for 2 and 3 videos a week right now. So wanted to tell you about some great books anyway. I just hate the thought of somebody being without something good to read. Okay, so that's it. That's all I've got going right now. I'll be on here hopefully at least once a week. Bye for now.